Hello, Vivid Earth Tribe. How's everyone today? I'm doing great. Spring has finally arrived in Cape Town, my favorite season. So, yeah, I'm good. I thought I'd just give you guys another update for the week because so much is going on around the world and things are just moving too slowly. So, I think once a week is going to be tricky. But I do have quite a lot of other projects. So that's why I've committed to kind of one per week. But we're going to do two this week and see how we go because I think there's some pretty big days and weeks ahead of us. Big things predicted, as I said before, for 9/11. A lot of people have earmarked this date as a date that big things are going to happen. Um, so we'll see. There could be a really, really big uh, world event happening on that day with major changes impacting. We spoke before about the Three Quarters Dam. There's been several earthquakes in the vicinity. I don't know if who's aware of that, but it was measuring something like 6.6 on the Richter scale, and there we have that six number again. And they had a report that they sent, I don't know how many emergency workers and packages, and the numbers of these things that they stated, the packages, the men, the trucks, it's just quite strange. I mean, normally you wouldn't say we've sent 73 fire trucks, right? Who's going to say that? So a lot of these numbers add up to very strange numbers, and all indications are that it could be imminent, this collapse of the dam. And for those that are not up to speed, there's some pretty evil stuff happening below the dam. A lot of trafficking of humans and children, and it's become kind of the hub of the Silk Route of the deep state, if you will. So there's a lot of very bad things happening, and it will be very bad for the deep state if that happens. So let's hope and pray that actually happens, right? It would be a very good thing for the white hats and for every benevolent person on this earth, really. Um, this suffering and torture cannot go on. It's really, really horrific. But it's good to see that a lot of these underground dams have been cleared out already. So I think these guys are moving as fast as they can. You've seen so many different floods and earthquakes and fires happening around the world. This is not coincidence. I'm not saying all of them are dams being cleaned out, but many of them are, and it's been going on for the last 6 to 9 months. So it's a very, very strategic and dangerous secret military operation, I would imagine. So yeah, that's what's happening on that. And then over in the U in Germany, many factories are closing down because of the energy crisis. Uh, and now it's coming to the UK. So it looks like the Brits may be freezing to death this winter, which won't be good. And you can imagine how many people are losing their jobs because of these major factories closing down. So that's very, very hectic news. And people are not happy with NATO, basically, because it's NATO's fault um, that Russia can't supply these countries anymore with gas. So that's not good. Um, what else? What else do we have? In other news, Ghislaine Maxwell, her trial lawyers are suing for 850,000 US dollars in unpaid legal fees, so they haven't been paid. Never mind her massive, you know, um, fortune that she must be hiding somewhere. Then a little bit on Gesara and world currency, the dollar. Um, the dollar is still in for an imminent crash. There's a lot of rumblings around, even in mainstream media, about what the new global reserve currency may be, because people are now accepting that the US dollar is going to crash. So, can you imagine about 3 billion people, which is like 40% of the global population, have been removed from the dollar system? So, that's all the BRICS countries. They've moved away basically from the petrodollar because of obvious reasons. So a rapid changes in the global monetary system is inevitable, and the development of a new US central bank currency as well. European sanctions of Russia is cropping them, and they may even experience a blackout this winter. We spoke about that. So basically, China, India, Iran, and Turkey has banned the US dollar as a trading currency and are using their own currencies. And many of those countries, as you know as well, are now their currencies backed by gold. So they're not going to need the US dollar reserve currency anymore. What else? What else can I tell you? There's a lot of other things happening. Russia is going to create a new precious metal gold pricing infrastructure and trading platform to destroy London and New York's monopoly over precious metals pricing and to stabilize the Russian gold market, with which they want to back the ruble, obviously, which we spoke about before. And it will be known as the Moscow International Precious Metals Exchange. So that's a very interesting development. And there's been some very strategic comms coming out about a pending arrest and massive change in the US, which could happen on 9/11. Podesta may be arrested, which is imminent. I mean, the fact that he was put in that position after being in the news, for what he has been and linked to the whole Epstein saga. Why would they put him in that position? I believe it's the White Hats. They just, trying to wake up more people because some people are a little bit slow. I'm actually quite shocked. I mean, as much as many people are waking up, especially in the US with, you saw the Trump rally, which was absolutely massive. It's amazing how many people are still fast asleep. And they just believe like Trump is a white supremacist, and they believe anything that the government and the left are telling them. And it's quite shocking. And if you ask many of them, like, what is it that you feel Trump has done to be called a white supremacist, I can't actually tell you. And, as I said before, I used to be very liberal and left. Now it's like a swear word for me. I don't want to be associated with that bunch. That woke bunch, I mean, they're completely crazy. They've lost the plot. They honestly have. They've disconnected from the human, organic human centeredness on this planet. I don't know how else to put it, but they've completely lost the plot, and they are mind controlled in the worst way possible. As I said, I was one of them. So I can look back at that and realize how much brainwashing was going on. Fortunately, I pulled away from that probably about 5 years ago, completely. Gosh, when I heard Hillary speak on CNN, when I was still watching a little bit of CNN, now I'm not watching it at all. When I used to travel a lot, I used to just in the hotel room put on CNN and in the background. And I remember hearing, listening to their campaign speeches, Hillary versus Trump, and I listened to her, and it's just like I had this ill feeling, like something is not right. Although, at that point, it would have thought, a woman running for president, isn't that a great thing? But yeah, soon after we learned why that is, why that feeling that you get like something in the pit of your stomach is this person is not a good person at all. Yeah, now I know why, and I've confirmed that my instincts are still and have been for a long time intact, and it's just motivated me to learn to listen even more closely to my instincts, because your instincts never lie to you. Your instincts is connected with your heart center, and if you feel it there and it feels right, then you can trust it. If not, then rather just, even if you don't walk away, just put it on ice, leave it for a while, let it simmer. That's what I always advise. Do your research, and eventually heart and mind will connect and give you the right answer. That's what I believe. And obviously very interesting that there's more and more comes around that JFK Jr. is still alive and that he's actually the legal vice president of the USA. And remember, I spoke before about there being two entities. One is the United States of America, the country itself, and then there's the corporation, which has also been bankrupted and reinvented and reinstated, by the way. But the first is the actual country. And in terms of the actual country, the piece of land, Trump is still very much president. It's just that too many people have accepted this corrupt corporation that have been running America and quite frankly the planet, that they don't recognize him as. And so he's kind of just stepped back a little bit because he realized that too many people are asleep. There's going to be riots in the street and who knows what else if he pushes this thing. So that's why, unfortunately, things are unfolded as slowly as it has, which is also why they can't give an exact timeline on when they're going to step in and do the final massive global awakening with the EBS and that, because they need to drip a little bit more to get more people on board. Otherwise, there's going to be chaos. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why we're spreading the word. Those that are starting to wonder and doubt, we're giving them the information so that they may come to their senses and realize what's really going on. Because the more and more people come on board, the quicker this thing is going to move forward. And the more smooth and seamlessly this whole transition will take place. Otherwise, it's going to be hard. We don't want it to be hard. Just a little bit on Gesara, there are a lot of indicators that it's already dripping in. I mean, Nesara, Gesara and Nesara, because Nesara is the national US-based, the act that was signed in 2001. Like Bill Clinton was basically had to sign that thing under gunpoint. And then Bush was going to take over. And then the day before it was supposed to be announced, as I said before, 9/11 happened. So now you know where that event comes from. So it's been lying there for 20 years. But I think they're ready to drip it in. I've heard several situations and updates on debt forgiveness in the US, and I believe in a Danske Bank. It's a Danish bank. There's also been several mortgages that have been forgiven. So people were just told you don't owe anything more. It's happened in the US. So there are many indicators that this thing is picking up speed and slowly being dripped in, which is amazing news. Of course, my question is just, I would imagine it's going to happen more quickly in the US. But when will it kind of roll out in the rest of the world? So those are the questions that we continue to ask and wonder about. But it's very good news that it's already dripping in. In my mind, it shouldn't stop us from really understanding that we are very powerful, organic, natural beings of this earth. It's our birthright to live on this planet, and we have rights. And I don't want to take a negative point of view by wanting to put up a fight. That's not what I'm saying. But unless we understand our power and our rights on this earth, things are going to struggle to change. So even Gesara and Nesara, we've got to come and meet this Earth Alliance halfway. That's the only way this thing is going to shift, quantum shift and quantum leap forward into the timeline that we want it to be. So that's what I am passionate about. And I think, all of us we need to remove the word fight from our vocabulary. I said this before, you don't fight fire with fire. And so the word fight evokes a negative frequency. So we need to really unpack this thing and think really hard about how to transmute their fight, because we don't want to fight them. We don't want to have a war. That's the wrong frequency. So we've got to stand up for our rights. not fight, and then transmute all this negativity with a higher frequency and a higher timeline. And that's our job right now. It's the biggest and best thing that we can do. I just see so many people advising people to activate their heart chakras and to work on their love frequency. And it sounds very woo-woo, but trust me, it is not. It is a scientific proven fact that love is an emotion and all that is associated with that raises your vibration and your frequency, and that creates a whole new reality because thoughts become things ultimately. So if you can start really unpacking that analogy and understanding that every negative thought that you have contributes to its cause and effect at the end of the day. So become very self-aware. Stop yourself when you have a negative thought. I know that a lot of us are angry when we come to see some of these things for the first time, and we will have a lot of angry people, but we've got to transmute that anger because that's not the answer. We've got to stop the fighting on this planet because that's what's killing it. So we've got to stand firm in our power to say enough, no more, and then use a positive frequency to transmute the negative energy, because the truth is nothing can penetrate a high frequency. These negative entities can't even come close to you. And that's the key. And that's what's so difficult for us to figure out. It's a conundrum, really. It's very, very tricky. What else did I want to say? Obviously, Starlink and SpaceX are still on the go. They've just put in orbit 51 new Starlink satellites in Spain. So they're busy doing that around the world. And that could be, when they've got enough, that could be the trigger for EBS, because that's the only way to shut down the internet. And I think when they say 10 days of darkness, it could just be 10 days without internet in the stage where EBS comes forth, reveals a lot of the truths that have been hidden from us, and then getting Starlink in place. So, Starlink has to be in place before that. But then all of us will move over to Starlink, which I believe will be much less harmful, as well as a lot of the other stuff that we have to use now, like 5G towers and stuff, which is very, very bad. Then I had an interesting comms that I saw on one of the Telegram channels on CERN, numerology and symbolism, which I thought you guys would find interesting. So in deciphering the names and symbols associated with CERN and the CIA headquarters below Lake Geneva, I spoke about that before. I hope everyone's on the same page. Their headquarters are basically under Lake Geneva. But a more precise understanding of these organizations and their agenda emerges. In the modern Romance English alphabet, the consonant CERN is synonymous with crown. The crown, hello. Often the W is benign, so you don't hear that. So it basically represents a seat of power in the underworld. When using the Roman score, in other words, the Latin alphabet, the term CERN in the consonant is equivalent to CRX, which translates to crux, the Latin word for cross. And it so happens that the flag of Switzerland and the logo of the CIA both bear a Roman cross corresponding to the letter D, an acronym for thee and death. Yep. That was from Babylon 4 channel. And then they go on to say about, to talk about the logo of the CIA showing the Roman eagle, which is also found in the coat of arms of Geneva, as well as in the coat of arms of the canton of Geneva, both of which also contain a key to recover the secrets of the underworld. The coat of arms of Geneva also features a Roman cross, which happens to be found in the logo of CIA. Interestingly, the eyebrow of the Roman eagle has this Nike swoosh. I can dive into that whole subject a little bit more, but I want to do a little bit more research on that because it's linked, they believe, to Enki and that kind of wing of the Anunnaki. I need to do a little bit more research on that before I go out and speak. And wasn't just interesting also this past week, Zuckerberg had an interview with Rogan. You must have heard about that. And somehow he's coming clean to say, you know, the FBI ordered him not to basically conspire in this election nonsense going on. And apparently he's just tweeted about adrenochrome harvesting. I haven't seen the tweet, but I really think that he has been, if you ask me, he's been taken out. There's a clone in place, whoever is playing that role, and he's dropping comms big time for the White Hats. I think everything that we see now pretty much are comms. You see it on Twitter. And then our favorite news channel, CNN. So may have said, I think I said in the past that CNN is on the verge of bankruptcy. Well, the latest is the White Hats might already be in control of it, because Trump publicly announced that he will help CNN become a gold mine and raise its ratings, which is also interesting. Then, interesting to know, Elon Musk's subsidiary companies and two major friends are deeply invested in CNN. Also, bin Salman of Saudi Arabia. He has hundreds of billions controlling his country's wealth and subsidiary companies and investors worldwide that exceed trillions. Salman has major stock in all social media networks, for those of you who didn't know, including Twitter, major investment that he holds there, which basically is infiltration, and I believe he's part of the White Hats as well. So these open and secret investors and companies who does his bidding for him, that basically captured the world CNN market. And that broadcasts in every single airport across the globe. You may have seen that a bunch of people have been fired at CNN. Basically, a lot of the woke kind of reporters. So that may be part of a cleanup that's starting at CNN. Because again, I think if CNN is taken out and the world and the US is shocked with this EBS, it might be too much for people, and there might be a civil war breaking out. Who knows? People are not ready for that. I mean, you know, the leftists. So it could be that they're looking to transform CNN, and again, they're going to slowly drip sort of disclosure into the reporting, which has already started happening, actually, interestingly. One or two things, I can't remember what it is, but major things that CNN would never report on, they have literally in the past week. So that's interesting. But just a little bit more about bin Salman. He's just to give you a recap, and I don't know if I've spoken about this before, but I found it fascinating when I found this out. So in 2017, there was a shooting in Las Vegas, and there was an assassination. Gosh, I can't speak anymore. Assassination attempt on the Saudi royal bin Salman. The mass shooting was a false flag event to have him killed in a set-up crossfire. The Las Vegas massacre was staged by the FBI and CIA, the deep state controlled by the Clintons and ordered by Obama in connection to the Bilderberg Group. The secret societies created by the Vatican of the Knights of Templar that created the first banking system through the slaughter of Europe. So this Las Vegas Association attempt was to take control of Saudi Arabia and all the gold they control and the influence through their holdings in social media. The assassination attempt failed due to military intelligence and Trump intervention and rescued bin Salman moments before his death. After the events, bin Salman pledged his life to Trump and the alliance, and you may have seen a video a couple of years ago where he was invited by bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, and he was given the highest honor that normally isn't only given to, you know, royalty. So a lot of people don't know that, but they became really close after that. And soon after that, bin Salman started to clean his royal family that was full of traitors that are loyal to the Clintons and the deep state. So now bin Salman is making his move to bring CNN and social media networks together because he's controlling a lot of the shares. Isn't that interesting? So as I said before, Zuckerberg, in fear of the growing alliance and the chess moves being made around the globe, it could be that he came onto the Joe Rogan show to publicly drop the FBI bombshell, which he knew would lead to coming congressional hearings. But I'm not so sure about that one. I feel it's a white hat com. I could be wrong, but yeah, let's see how things unfold. So basically, it is said that the white hats have now taken control of CNN through one of Trump's best friends, John Malone, and CNN has currently fired several employees and news anchors. They're basically cleaning house. So the stage is set for what's to come next. So it will ultimately, the set become a station to give you declass and real-time drops and leaks connected to the world deep state countries and their corruption. Yeah, that's very interesting. What else? So the deep state Rockefellers, Rothschilds, DuPont, Bush family, and Cabal lied to the Chinese elders, apparently, and clans that they would fix the world with Obama being placed into office in 2008. But they basically tricked them into trillions in gold, and at the same time, the deep state decided to rob American people through the housing collapse and the bank collapse of 2008. They had an idea to give some of the stolen US citizens money back to China, but never did. And they promised to help the world through Obama presidency was a lie too. So now these Chinese elder families are in talks with their alliance. And that's why there's a split between China, the Republic, and China CCP, basically. They obviously want Trump back in power. So they're also cleaning house, weeding out the corruption and wanting to end communism. But they need the world to help and to end the deep state money flowing into China. And that's where the Three Gorges Dam thing comes in as well. So you can start seeing how it's all connected. The whole world is connected. Yeah, so some people think Trump will become the Speaker of the House. I'm not so sure, but let's see. Let's see how it will unfold. Yeah, what else can I tell you? There's one other thing that I thought was interesting. Amazon has been shutting down dozens of warehouses in the US, and their shares have fallen more than 25%. So that's interesting. And then obviously Liz Truss has become the new UK Prime Minister, which apparently that doesn't look very good. Not a very good. And as I predicted a couple of weeks ago, when Boris Johnson resigned, that he's just going to be replaced by somebody worse than him because he couldn't do the job that the deep state wanted him to do. Or maybe it's a white hat move. Who knows at this point? It's so complicated. It's like a chess. It's a very high level chess game, to be honest. Sometimes they make a move, they sacrifice a pawn to, to take a king, or, vice versa. It is said that we're going to hear very soon about the passing of the Queen and possibly the Pope as well. The more and more I dive into it, the more and more I understand how extremely evil that we, Vatican, I don't want to be censored, but you know what I mean, is and has been over hundreds, if not thousands of years, and how they've systematically infiltrated every religion and every society, and basically ruled this earth with their satanic worshipping. And it seems kind of very strange in this day and age. You almost didn't think about Satanism a couple of months or years ago, but it's funny how it's all being revealed now. Yeah, that's really where it is at. So, finally, after 500,000 years of oppression, planet Earth is on its way to a complete liberation from its alien oppressors, because that's what it is. We've spoken about that before. It's basically the Dracos, not all of them, but the benevolent ones from planet Draco and the tall grays. But these guys are controlled by AI, basically. So they're just carrying out the instructions. So that's why I say, this is much more complicated than we think. And I'm not saying forgive them and move along, but like this whole cycle of terror and suffering and trauma and war and division has to end. We cannot end that with more war. So we've got to figure out a way to do it differently. And that's all of our jobs, because more war is not what this planet needs. So many, many, many thousands of years, they've obviously had all their minions installed on Earth, such as kings and pharaohs and spiritually low vibrational beings to all this Earth. And it's just infiltrated our society in every single country, in every single religion, unfortunately. And we got to clear this out. Basically the top of the pyramid is ruled by the Luciferian rulers of the Octagon, based in Switzerland. I'm going to bring you more information probably tomorrow on the Octagon, which is said to be the real top of the pyramid. I've been researching that and it's super interesting. So more on that in the next episode. I have to run now. Just quick in closing. I'm doing another interview with Ishmael Perez, the galactic historian. That will be broadcast on Sunday. So if you have any questions that you want me to put forward to him, I'll select a couple of the most pertinent questions and we'll address that in the interview. So you can put that in the comments. I'm going to post now as well, and I'll post a notification on YouTube as well. You can also post it in the comments there. Otherwise, feel free to send it to live@vividearth.org. And please don't forget to follow our Telegram channel, because there's a lot of intel that I'm dropping there that I'm not necessarily bringing into these YouTube episodes. Mostly a lot of the time resharing information that I receive from credible channels. So remember to follow channel. It's just called Vivid Earth, one word. And remember to share, like, and subscribe so this channel can grow and reach more people, and that we can all assist with this global awakening process. That's my mission, I feel right now, my primary mission. And I'm on a mission to make this happen, to create more awareness and to bring more tools and advice for raising our frequency and coming up with ways to transmute all of this chaos and negativity that's going on around the world. So that's my mission. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your comments, and thank you for all the love and the support. I really, really appreciate it. And together we can really create a very strong movement. It's an extraordinary time to be alive, even though it's stressful. So let's step into our power and remember that we were born for such a time, and we were born for a specific reason at this very time, to be part of this movement of transformation on Earth. So pat yourselves on the back, and I'm sending you lots of love and light, and we'll chat soon.